Did see AR, speaking of that show. He tweeted this out, Pat, and I believe you were a guest when he tweeted this out.
Yes, he had just thought of this during the commercial break.
He said, you have to make one huge money bet for this season. So the 25-26 college football season and college basketball season. None of my soft-earned dollars here. Which one is it? Ohio State football snaps the University of Michigan streak, okay? Last Saturday of the year. Last Saturday in November, post-Thanksgiving. Buckeyes snapped the Michigan streak, or Ohio State hoops makes the NCAA tournament. Again, you have to make one huge money bet for this season. None of my soft-earned dollars, which is a fantastic Rothman OG line. What are you more confident in happening? That the Buckeyes can snap the streak against Michigan, or that they can make the NCAA tournament?
I lean football.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a heavy lean because I think both sides are pretty motivated to get that job done.
Yep.
I think that because Ohio State won the national championship in football last year, this is not the only thing Ryan Day and his staff have left to do, because they'd certainly love to win another national championship. That'd be pretty cool to go back to back.
Yeah, Big Ten championship, and getting back there would be nice.
Yes. A good way to do that is to beat Michigan. And I think that will be something that will be on the minds of these players throughout the season. Not that it isn't or wasn't last year, but I also think that those guys, most of them that were on the roster last year, saw the pain in the eyes of a Jack Sawyer, of a Will Howard, even though he was only there for all those guys. Cody Simon. Yeah, all of those guys that didn't beat Michigan, were set to do it last year, were all ready to go against a underperforming Michigan team. So for me, like, just pure motivation-wise, that's the way I would lean.
I thought that was going to be the case last year, though. To be fair,
it should have been.
Yeah, you're right.
If things get called a little differently. But yeah,
that was just such a, and I don't want to have to rehash any of that. It was a bizarro game.
Very bizarre. Yeah. One of the strangest sporting events I've ever seen, been a part of, whatever you want to call it.
And you've covered a lot. Like, you've gotten to do a lot of different things. You've been covering Ohio State for a long time. You were a crew reporter. Like, you've seen some interesting things. That was one of the more wild days in Ohio State history.
100%.
It was flummoxing.
Right. But I do think that the basketball team, especially having talked to some of these guys here recently, Jake Diebler and a few of the returning players, like, that is certainly a motivating factor for them to not go a fourth year without the NCAA tournament. So, like, I think in my mind, the most likely answer is that both things happen.
Ooh.
I think that's a very realistic possibility, because I do think, look, you have to go to Ann Arbor. We'll see what Michigan looks like. Probably going to be playing a freshman quarterback. But
it's also on the road. I know that you just mentioned that.
And that's tough. You know, they've lost 2 in a row, obviously, up there. But before that, I think they'd won 4 or 5 straight in Ann Arbor. So, look, it won't be easy. Making the NCAA tournament is not going to be easy for this team with so many new faces and whatnot. But I think both teams are set up well to do it and are heavily motivated to get that job done.
I would lean both. I'm with you on that. I just think that not making the NCAA tournament for 4 straight years is a pretty wild thing, and then not beating Michigan for 5 straight years is almost. Which one's harder to comprehend? I guess
Michigan.
I would agree with that.
Given when we, like, the era we grew up in.
But also the era that we grew up in Ohio State basketball, Pat. They were ripping off Final Fours and Big Ten championships and all kinds of different things.
True. I just think with football, like, you know, I remember the 90s and some of that, but I was also younger then. So, like, to me, it was just like, that's what you do. You go beat Michigan, right? And I think a lot of people...
wasn't that nice.
Even people that grew up well before then and went through the 90s as, like, diehard fans.
It made it so much better for them.
Well, yes, and I think that they got accustomed to it. And I think with Ohio State basketball, yeah, you had that great run under Thad, but I think most people, just because of the football school nature of it, recognize that wasn't going to be forever. Whereas, like, it looked for a while like Michigan may never win a game against Ohio State again.
Yes, it did.
And if they don't dip out on 2020, that might have been true.
Yeah. I could put 100 on you. Exactly. That year. That year where they said, we're good. I remember exactly where I was when that game got canceled, and I was very depressed.
I was on a Zoom call talking to the Ohio State players.
Wow.
We broke the news to them.
Did you really?
Yeah,
what was the reaction? I don't remember that at all. I was sitting at home because I think it was it a Thursday that the game was canceled? Yeah. I was sitting at home drinking a Dragon's Milk Stout.
Wow.
And then I went to Savor Pint and got more because I'm like, well, this is so depressing. I don't even know. I'm just going to drink my sorrows away.
Yeah, we were on a Zoom call because that was the era of the Zoom calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget who, like, we were waiting between players, or maybe it was between coach and players, but whoever it was came on, and the first question was, or the first person that got called on to ask a question was like, hey, I want to let you know they canceled the Michigan game. And the player was just like, well, I don't know anything about that. But that was all that was all we were going to ask. And then I think eventually Jerry was just like, shut it down. It was like, let's end this, and we'll
He didn't even say anything to you guys. He just clicked the camera off. Like, this is pointless of us even to be doing media availability right now.
Right. So, yeah, that was a weird, in a period of weird times, that was one of the weirdest.
Yeah, that was strange. And then also not beating them since. It's also weird. We're living in the upside down world.
Right. Well, and okay, there's 2 years I think you can at least somewhat put on the sign stealing scandal. Then there was 2 years ago where I think you just had a really good football game in Ann Arbor, and Ohio State came out on the wrong side of it.
They won the national championship that year.
Yeah, and look, you're driving to win the game, and if Kyle McCord has a little bit more time, he probably completes that to Marvin Harrison, and we're talking about a completely different situation.
Let me ask you this: while we're living in hypothetical world, if Kyle McCord completes that pass to Marv and the Buckeyes go on to win that game, do you ever see Will Howard here at Ohio State?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Maybe Kyle still. Who knows what happens in the postseason, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Kyle still decides for similar reasons, but I think that that throw obviously had a big impact, I guess I would say. And I don't want to speak for Will Howard or for Kyle McCord, excuse me, but I definitely think some of the decision making that followed was certainly a contributing factor of that.
Yeah.
And not just that throw, but just losing that game.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. It's been a rough couple of years. Reimer, what are you going with if you had to wager the vast rhyme time estate on this? Are you going Ohio State makes the tournament or Ohio State snaps the streak against Michigan?
I would want to do both, of course. I feel like it will be both, but I would think I would have to lean more football.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot more uncertainty with the basketball team as a whole with the roster. You don't know what you're getting out of the wing, out of the transfers you brought in. And there's still a lot more at play throughout the year. Like the Big Ten's going to be tough. Not tough non-conference. You got Notre Dame, you got North Carolina on a neutral. So there's a lot more there that can lower your chances at getting into the tournament.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I just think as well with this football team, and it's a totally different team. Each team is different. It's a living, breathing organism. You'll hear coaches say that all the time, that each team is very different. But I think with this football team, that it's really the one thing that they haven't done, the coaching staff. And now the pressure of the national championship is off. Now, it's going to be back when you get to August 30th and you get back into the football season. But for right now, on June 26th, the pressure to win a championship, that's done. And the one thing, Pat, that could kind of springboard them back would be going up to Ann Arbor in the last weekend of November and winning that football game. Yeah,
you got to get the monkey off your back. Yeah. It was the same as when Michigan was losing all the games in a row. I remember being at Big Ten Media Days in 2021 and the players there talking about, we just have to get it done. And we've changed our approach and all this, and they did.
And we're stealing signs now.
And that was part of it. But I don't know if they knew that or not. But, once you do it, then I think you feel everything changes. It's like winning the national championship for Ryan Day and those guys, right? So I think it happens.
Aaron Rodgers is excited to mentor Will Howard, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's next. It's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.